Hi, welcome to Bible in a Year. This is the Old Testament part of day 11, September 11th. I'm Ali Martin. And today we're looking at Genesis chapter 24, verses 1 to 67. And the start of it is entitled Isaac and Rebekah. And although it's about the moment, ultimately we get to the very end of the passage and it's the moment where they meet and they become husband and wife and they fall in love. Ultimately, it's not a passage so much about them as a passage about God's faithfulness and the faithfulness of others. The faithfulness of God just comes through in that, God didn't just give his promise to Abraham, you're going to have a son and then you're going to have all these descendants. But there's that sense that not only does God speak the promise, but he continues to be in the outworking of the promise, which is, I think, such an encouragement to us. God didn't just speak, but he continues to work it out with them and lead them on to the next step and the next step and the next step. And we're here still right at the beginning of the Bible, and yet so much of the foundations are being laid for what we're going to continue to see as we go through the Bible, of just the continuing faithfulness of God. It's who he is. It's who he always is, so faithful. But also we're seeing here something of the faithful obedience of Abraham and his servant too. I love when Abraham's first saying his servant, this is what you've got to do. And his servant says, if this doesn't work out, shall I go take your son and take him with me, take him back to that country? And Abraham says, basically, no way. Make sure you don't do that. In verse 6, make sure you don't do that. And he says, God led me out of that country. Let's not go back there. And I love that as he's looking forward to his son and his descendants that will come through his son, he's saying, let's not go back to the place that God called us out from. It's a case of not, was I just obedient then? I'm going to continue to be obedient. And I'm going to continue to be faithful to the thing that God called me to. Which is such an amazing picture for us in our lives. But then also I love just the faithful obedience of the servant. The servant goes on and does exactly what Abraham told him to do, and he ends up encountering Rebekah. And in verse 27, it says this, let me just read it. It says, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who's not abandoned his kindness and faithfulness to my master." Exactly what we were just saying. This is the God who continues to be kind, who continues to be faithful. He says, "As for me, the Lord has led me on the journey to the house of my master's relative." The Lord has been in this. And it says, in the Amplified version, it says, "Going on the way of obedience and faith, the Lord has led me to the house of my master's family." And going in the way of obedience and faith. What a brilliant picture that is. The Lord has led me, but the way that he led the servant was through this journey of both obedience and faith. And I think obedience and faith are so closely related that I know a friend of mine says, if you run out of faith, then stick with obedience. And because obedience is an okay substitute sometimes for faith. And actually, if we continue in obedience, often faith will follow. And so I love this picture, this reminder today for us to continue to be obedient, continue to have faith for the things that God has called us to. And he will, even if we fail in that, the Bible says that he will continue to be faithful. It's who he is. It's who he'll always be. He can't be anything but. Let's worship our faithful God today and renew our resolve before him to follow him in obedience and faith. God bless. Have a good day. Bye.